Go ahead.
I think we're having some computer stuff. Now we're live. It showed like it was spinning. It was thinking about it. Couldn't figure out what it wanted to do. Stuff like that.
Am I going to read?
Yeah. Would you mind?
Sure.
Now, that doesn't mean that you can't answer too.
Okay.
But I think that if you read, that would, because I haven't read them yet, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So anyway.
So what are they?
Well, let's start the video, and I'll tell you and everybody else too.
Okay.
Everyone else who's not here right now.
Okay.
So actually,
Hey, why are we doing a video today?
Well, Chris, the reason we're doing a video is because I very wisely decided that I would do a video of some kind, not a short, not including shorts, every single day in October. And I also said that if you send me in questions and stuff, that would be very helpful, and it would help me come up with ideas to do the video. And so I've been getting a lot of emails from people with video ideas, and a lot of them are questions, like specific questions. And I thought, why don't we just do a live video where we answer people's questions?
Okay.
And well, frankly, I ran out of video stuff that was pre-recorded. So you said, let's just do a live video.
You said, I don't have a video today.
Yeah.
And I said, live ones count, right?
They do.
You want to do a live one?
I do. So Gary Redburn, I got your thing, and your guitar should be ready provided we get tuners. Gary's blue PRS style guitar. We're waiting on tuners. Stuff coming from the East Coast is tricky to get. So
yeah, everything else is done on it.
Yeah,
I could march it on a wee bit further.
I think we're okay.
Tuners will show up. Yeah.
So Gary will be here this probably Friday or at the very latest Saturday for the inaugural amp building workshop.
Yep.
That'll be cool.
Yep. That is going to be really, really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
You're going to do that, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to use the word really a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So guys, this probably is going to be an hour-long video. And we've already got the questions. So
it still counts.
If you want to ask a bunch of questions, you can, but we may not get to them because we've already got a bunch of questions right now, even though this is a live video. So, like if you want to ask, like, hey, you just use your best judgment. Okay. All right. So Chris is going to help us out. I printed out some emails, Chris.
Okay.
Some of these, I'm going to let you kind of, I haven't really looked at all of them, but so read who sent it.
I will.
And then ask the questions. And then if the person who sent it to us included an address and if they want an XL or 2XL shirt, we'll send them a shirt.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the first one is from Steve Girardi.
Hi, Steve.
He says, hi, Matt. Here are a few ideas for future videos.
Okay.
Number 1, safety tips when using guitar building power tools.
Okay.
2, tips on bandsaw setup and maintenance.
Okay.
We might actually have to have somebody show us that ourselves.
Yeah.
Just on one of them. One of them we know how to set up really, really well. The other one's a little bit trickier. 3, how to select woods for instrument builds.
Okay.
What to look for when picking out wood.
Okay.
4, build a simple instrument with tools most people would have at home or could acquire inexpensively.
All right.
Targeted at people on the fence about building a guitar because they are intimidated by all your fancy, awesome tools that we all love so much. I might have added some stuff at the end there.
All right.
And then number 5, build a cigar box guitar, same reason as above.
All right, let's take the last one first. Build a cigar box.
Do you want me to read out his address and what size T-shirt he takes in case somebody wants to send him one?
No, I'll do that. So let's start with the last one first. I'm not going to build a cigar box.
Okay.
One is because it takes a lot of time to make these videos, and I've never made a cigar box. I'm sure that there are some idiosyncrasies that I'm not aware of, and so I'm not going to build a cigar box.
Okay.
But let's take the first question. What is it?
Safety tips when using guitar building power tools.
Okay, and Chris, chime in too, because anytime you know some answers too. The safety tips for any woodworking tools are, of course, that if you can cut yourself, you will. So treat every tool as if it was running, even if it's not. Wait for a tool to come to a complete stop before you start putting your hand in there where stuff can get to you. And really just kind of keep your head on a swivel. I mean, these are fairly basic things. There are some power tools that have, specific safety stuff that, like, for example, the safety rules around a table saw don't apply to that are specific to a table saw may not apply to a belt sander.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But standard safety practices should be followed, regardless of what tool you're using. I say this to everybody, guys, and it is 100% true. Now, I stole this from James Yeager. Thousands of people injure themselves with power tools every year, and they all have one thing in common. And it's that nobody thought it was going to happen to them. So.
Well, today's probably the day I'm going to cut myself.
Yeah. No one wants to think that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
So, do you have anything you want to add to that one?
No.
Okay. Eye protection, ear protection. You know what I mean? Just your standard safety stuff. That should be universal for. Greetings from UK Matt. Hi, UK Matt. How are you doing, man? Okay, what else we got? Tips on bandsaw setup and maintenance. I'm really the wrong guy to ask because both of my bandsaws are set up very poorly right now. Like they don't track. I went to cut some maple for binding today, and I thought I'll use the fence on this one and get. No, it didn't. It should work. It's worked.
Which one did you use?
The oldest one, the Rikon.
The good one.
The good one, yeah.
And it didn't do well.
No. It started wandering, what probably happened is I probably have a dullish blade on there. There's making sure that all the pieces are adjusted properly, rollers adjusted. Yeah, I'm the wrong guy to ask about that. What's number 3?
How to select woods for instrument builds.
Okay.
I've talked for when picking out wood.
I've talked about this a handful of times. There are, for musical instruments, there are not a lot of woods. Let's say guitar specifically, building guitars. There are not a lot of woods that are universally accepted. Okay. So as much as you might like, say, somebody was talking about Purple Heart and this, that, and the other, there are not a lot of guitars made with Purple Heart stuff. Not as many as are made with mahogany and maple. Okay. So if I was going to select wood for a guitar build, I would say steer yourself towards maple, mahogany, rosewood, ebony, and then some of the other Fender ones, ash and alder. Okay. If you want to do some practice stuff, maybe poplar is a good choice because it's very affordable, generally speaking. But the further you stray from those woods, like basswood and stuff. I mean, there's some that I'm forgetting probably, but the further you get away from maple, mahogany, rosewood, ash, alder, and the classics, the harder it's going to be to like convince people how neat it is. I think cherry's a really neat wood. You don't see a lot of guitars made with it. So most guitar players go, why would I want a cherry guitar? I want mine to be mahogany. So if you're going to sell, I would say stick with that stuff. Once you've landed on whatever wood you want to use, whether it's, standard mahogany or, burro babinga, not burro babinga, because I'm going to say, try to look for the straightest grain stuff you can with the least amount of run out. What I mean by run out is if the board is if you imagine the board is a track and the grain, you want the grain to be going straight with the board. If it starts going off at an angle, I usually avoid that stuff. How about that?
Yep.
And then finally, make sure it's really, really dry. So if somebody cuts down a tree and says, hey, who's this? Steve. Hey, Steve, I just cut down a cottonwood tree. Why don't you come over and harvest some of this wood and build a guitar out of it? Say no. For one, it's not dry. For two, milling is a real pain in the butt unless you have a bunch of mill stuff. And finally, nobody wants a cottonwood guitar. Somebody does, but for the most part, nobody wants a cottonwood.
Yeah. I think buying wood from known guitar wood experts.
Yeah. Like guitar wood experts. Is it tone wood experts? I always get it.
It's guitar wood experts now, isn't it?
It's tone wood experts. So Link in the description below. Call Dan, Tone Wood
Yeah,
Experts. Just give old Dan a call.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It was Guitar Wood Experts. But anyway, that's their job.
Yeah.
Is to procure wood that's ready to be built into guitars.
Yeah.
And they don't just do it for little guys like us. They do it for big guys
absolutely.
as well. So they know what they're doing. When we source wood locally here, luckily we're in a fairly arid climate. It's pretty dry. And so we don't have to sweat that because most of the places are running off the same wood that they've had since, a long, long time.
Yeah.
And they all store it outside where it's super dry. So if it's spent any time in Colorado at all, it's going to be dry.
Hi, Joy.
In the middle of winter. Yeah.
Finally, Steve asks, build a simple instrument with tools most people have at home or could acquire. I'm not going to do that, Steve, but I am going to offer an alternative. We have started the what are we calling it? The Essential Guitar Building Workshops, and they are 3 to 6 days. They're usually in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. And what those are is they are classes where you do every single thing. It's a deep dive into the first one we're going to do is neck building, and we've got it scheduled for December. I think it's all the way full. And the reason that we wanted to do one in December this year was to kind of test the waters and see how much people were interested in that stuff. As it turns out, they're very interested. So we'll be doing more of the essential guitar building stuff. And so we'll have actual workshops that will be there's going to be essential neck construction, essential body construction, essential paint, essential wiring and setup, essential fretwork, whatever, stuff like that. And we're going to really deep dive. Like, for example, if you take part 1 and part 2 of the neck building workshop, you'll build 3 necks. One of them will never be a neck. It will just be a tester. You'll make all your mistakes. You'll make every single mistake you can on that neck. Hopefully you won't make a bunch more. If you stay for part 1, you'll fret it. If you stay for part 2, you'll actually pull all the frets and refret that neck. So it's more than just like discussing what, some stuff. We're really gonna deep dive into truss rods and fret slots and pressing in frets and gluing in frets and refretting and shaping necks, and all done by hand. We're not going to use the pin router. I think the biggest tool we're going to use is the table router, which is a pretty low tech operation. So we will be using the radius sander, but only after you do one the old school way, right? Okay. So Steve, thanks for all of your thanks for your questions. We'll get your t-shirt. Did he give a size?
He did.
Someone named Stinky Whizzle Teat said, do you guys ever use stain directly on maple a la PRS, or do you always spray the color? No, we don't. I don't think it's a good idea.
We always spray the color over the top of the wood.
Yep. Candy colors are really easy to do. And I think the results are generally better. Now, for us, okay? If we started out decades ago dyeing wood, and by the way, it's dye, not stain. There's no stain that's like, iridescent pink. It's dye. So if we started out doing that, I'm sure we would be very good at it now, but we don't. We don't do that. We do it the old school Gibson and Fender way, which is you don't smear a bunch of dye or stain on the wood.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. Next one. Alex Vargulis.
Hi, Alex.
I'm hoping that I say that right. It starts with a Z.
Okay.
Vargulis.
Okay.
Video idea. I have an idea for a video is one determining your neck angle before routing your neck pocket. The options depend on your body style. If you're doing a Tele or Strat, it's easy because they're flat, but it still needs some thought before routing. Doing a Les Paul or PRS means doing your carb angles first, then working out your neck angle. Mm-hmm. Also, with LP or PRS, do you make your neck parallel and angle your neck pocket, or do you make the neck pocket and angle on the neck?
Okay.
I'll take a 2X shirt. Here's my address in Australia.
lots of luck, GI. Okay.
Next time you're over here,
let me know. We'll mail it to you. So, okay. So neck angle is a great one. A couple of things about your question is the fender neck pocket is flat, but I don't think that all fender necks need to be flat. In fact, sometimes I think they can really benefit from a little bit of a shim or angle. Generally not on a Strat or Tele, but sometimes you get one.
I've run into guitars in both of those guitars that have had a shim from the factory.
Yeah. That's one of the neat things about a bolt-on neck is that you can shim it. But really what you're right. It does have to do with the body design, the shape of the body. We're going to get into that, but it has the most to do with what bridge you're going to be using. In other words, if you're building a Les Paul and you're not putting a stop tail into pneumatic on it, you're putting a Floyd Rose, you have a host of new problems, not the least of which is the body's very, very thick, and a Floyd Rose trim spring cutout is for a guitar that's 1 3/4, not for something that's a Les Paul, and at the thickest point is close to 3 inches thick. So figure out what bridge you're going to use first. Get the bridge in your hot little hand first, and then go to work. As far as like a Les Paul carve top, you're right. You're going to have to match that carve. Now, if you're building a Les Paul like a Les Paul, remember that the fretboard, the neck tenon has 2 little pieces of fretboard on either side, and those rest on the body, on the top. So your top is going to have to be exactly right. That's my phone, not yours. So that's a whole that a Les Paul with the Les Paul style neck joint, the mortise and tenon, is very tricky to do, and you really got to plan out your work and then work out your plan. If you make a Les Paul, say, without that style of neck, it's considerably easier. But you also don't want the reveal of your neck to look wrong. You want the fretboard to look pretty close to matching
the angle of the carve.
Thank you. So and I think that if you have a pin router, it is considerably easier to do either one. We used to do we would angle the necks. We would angle the heels.
We had a jig.
Which we still have, and we could still do.
We can still do it, but you'd have to take it out and put it in the body.
Yep.
And then if it wasn't right, you had to put it back in the jig, and you had to get it exactly right.
So now we have, and
not start over, but walk back into it.
It is quite if you were doing a double neck, I would say absolutely angle the heels. It's way easier to get that right.
What a triple neck?
Triple neck, same thing. But these days, when we do carve tops, we have a special sign plate that we made that the bodies go in, and we angle the neck pocket. And we leave the neck heel flat, with one exception. When we're doing those Paul Reed Smith style guitars with the wraparound bridge, we angled the neck too.
Okay.
Angled the neck and the neck pocket.
Okay. Why was that?
We were running out of room.
Running out of wood.
Out of wood.
So, and the wraparound tailpiece is much, much taller than the trim. So you had to add more angle.
1/4 of an inch taller. Yeah.
So you had to put a little bit of an angle on both of them to get it to angle enough to reach the bridge. Okay. Yep. There you go.
All right. Did we answer all his questions?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
All righty. And this is from Thomas Sizemore.
Okay.
He says, hello, trying to come up with a few ideas. Maybe one of these below is worthy. 1,
all right,
shop-made modified fixtures and tools that are equal to or better than purchased tools.
Let me answer that one
right.
And
a demo.
Okay, let's answer that one right now.
Okay.
It is possible that you guys can, I don't know what tools you have. What I can tell you is that Steve at Maximum Guitar Works templates are the best you can buy. We've tried them all, wouldn't you say? And the ability to use the off-body alignment pins, the center lines that are perfectly done every time, that the simple fact that the templates are clear, I would say go with those. And then you can make copies of those out of MDF, so your templates, your original templates, stay nice. I think that's a good idea. Do we have any shop? We built some like our fret presses are shop built. I like those. The StewMac one is too small. I wish it was taller. So we don't use, I have one of the StewMac little ones. I never use it because it's not big enough. It's a 1 ton. It's not it needs to be a 2 ton, I think. Not because 1 ton isn't enough force, but because can you think of anything else, Chris, that?
Well, so we modified a
an edge sander into
that, and the fret cutting saw, the radial arm saw, into a fret cutting tool, which we could show it off.
That'd be a good video.
It's one of the scariest tools in the shop.
Yeah,
one of the few things that neither Matt nor I really want anybody else to do anymore. We've had just enough issue with it.
Positively terrifying.
And it goes wrong in like that. Like sometimes you can sort of tell something's going wrong. You're pushing too hard. You're doing it, okay. But this just goes, good, bad.
Yeah.
So we don't typically let people use that tool.
Yeah.
But I do still like that tool, and I think it does a really good job.
Now, I don't think that you can go out and just find any old radial arm saw and assume that it's going to work as well as ours. There's no wiggle.
There's a
some of those
a
are
lot of old
janky
radial arms, and I think that's part of the problem with them. They wear out. And when was the last time they made a radial arm saw?
I'm sure they still 80s. Do, but
but most of them that you see are from the 70s and probably early 80s.
If I had to,
that's an old tool at this point.
Yeah, when we got that radial arm saw free, if we had to do that where we had to spend money, I would probably use a table saw.
Yeah.
And figure out how to do that on a table saw. Though our new technique for slotting fretboards after they're glued on, I'm sure you could do it. I just don't know how you would on a table saw. It's extra neat on a radial arm saw. And then there's some tools that we have that you just can't buy. I don't know any place where you can buy a deadhead sander.
Yeah.
We had to build that one.
We have some pretty cool jigs too. We have the 7-degree head angle jig that's really, really neat and well thought out. Our truss rod jig was pretty neat.
That was pretty cool until we started using our little CNC for that.
Yeah. The jig that holds the neck to start the roundover is pretty well thought out, I think.
Both of those that you said, though, you pretty much have to have some type of overarm
big. Yeah. Well, although our friend Gary Taft built one that he uses a regular table router on, he had to invert everything, and it's slightly different, but he did manage to
pull it off. Yeah,
make it work. So, and we used to actually do them that way too. We just didn't have the radius on the fingerboard. So, but we have some pretty neat tools like that. That might be a fun video. You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
The second is, a lot of your viewers are hobbyist builders. What techniques have you learned from them?
Unless they have some way to tell me stuff, nothing. I mean, like, okay.
That sounds snotty, but it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, like I don't have a YouTube channel, and I don't send Matt emails, and I've never met him. Obviously, I haven't learned anything from you.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't watch a lot of guitar making YouTube stuff. Way back in the old days, I was able to pick up a lot of stuff from the Les Paul Builders Forum. This has got to be close to 20 years ago. that was a pretty good one. So there was some jigs and stuff like the box that you would, it was a box that you put your guitar in, and there was a hinge on one side, so you could angle the box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what you did is you put a big board on your router and you made a sled that would ride on this box. That's kind of a classic hobby Les Paul builder thing to do now. So I learned that. I think that every so often people have given me really good ideas. I don't remember the guy's name, but he had a YouTube channel. Maybe he still does. It was a no-brainer. He put the neck in the body, and then he trimmed the neck pocket with the neck in there, using the neck as a bearing surface for a cutter
on the edge of a Strata Italia or
Yeah.
style.
Yeah. And so I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
So that
we used
was
to draw
one.
it, and then we take it over to the edge sander
And
or
sand.
the spindle sander
Yeah.
and sand, and then maybe you got it right,
Mhm.
maybe you went too far.
Yeah.
Um,
There's been some other stuff. Every so often someone sends me a good idea. You got to send it to me though, for me to learn from you, because if you know what I mean, don't rely on me seeking you out, especially if you don't have any way for me to seek you out.
I learned little things from guys in classes sometimes.
Okay. What do you got one?
Well, yeah. So in the last class, making nuts, I've started taking material off the bottom instead of the top.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, now we're gonna, eyeball this and eyeball that. Now put the nut down and grab your little Stumac ruler, and we're just going to draw a straight line across here, just as some sort of mark to sort of sand to. And Blue set the ruler down, set the nut down like this, and traced it like that, and it was the perfect height.
Okay.
It was the exact thickness, and I went, oh yeah, that works.
That's a good idea.
And if it's not, if that ruler's too thick, then use a different ruler, or too thin, or whatever. So
what about Gary Redburn and the little using my favorite Stumac tool, the nut
we were
slot
using
depth
it
gauge,
according to the directions and not thinking about it outside that box. And I look over at Gary, and he's holding it down. He hits 0 and he pushes the plunger down. And I go, well, that seemed to work pretty well. Let's try it our way and see if we come up with the same number. And you come up with the same number, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this tool is way easier to use than it was a balancing act before. And then you push down the strings on either side, and I went, of course that makes way more sense to push the actual plunger down. So
you'd be surprised at how many people.
I'll bet you if you push it down hard enough on the string, you could actually get a false reading.
Gary Taft is another one of those guys who, I remember we were doing frets. He didn't have a block to put his frets on, so he put a piece of tape and he would stick them to the tape. There's little stuff that you guys do in workshops that, like, I don't even see you doing half the time. And I go, what's the big idea doing it like that? And then and you guys tell me something. So there's lots of stuff.
Somebody putting like a guitar pick or something like that and following where they are with their frets that way. Instead, the first 24 ones I did, I counted. You know, I can get to 5 visually, and then after that, then I'm going.
I can only get to 3 or
7,
4
8,
visually.
Yeah, I was lying about 5.
You know, I don't know if the person I learned this from is a professional or a hobbyist, but I think the first time I saw someone using the little Stumac nut vise as a holder and then putting it up against the sander, I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. And I don't know, I remember the person I saw doing it, but I don't know if they're
that's how we removed the material from the bottom. After we drew our line with our we used nothing but Stumac tools for that whole process. But then you take it over and you can set it flat on the table and just very easily do a really good job of removing material off the bottom of that thing without much effort at all. Or you can do it where you hold it, you almost hit your fingers. I'm sure that I used to do where I would double stick tape it to a board and then do stuff. I'm sure there are other things that I've learned from however he says it, but I don't remember all of them. I'm hitting the highlights. But the way that I learn that stuff is if you guys send it to me or, tell me about it. Is there a thing? Hey, by the way, I think, okay. Nope. Or if you come to one of the workshops and tell me about it, or if you, just, I remember, it wasn't a hobby guitar maker, but it was the Ibanez,
The
Ibanez Custom
Custom
Shop,
Shop.
making a guitar for Steve Vai.
Mhm. And the Ibanez Custom Shop looks remarkably a lot like our shop.
Yeah.
There's a CNC machine that they use for inlay, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But they would stack templates, and you would raise and lower the pin on the pin router.
Yeah, they had templates that had 2 levels
Mhm.
of pin depth, and yeah, we went, shit.
Yeah. Well, Steve's off-body alignment pin system has largely eliminated the need for templates with 2 heights.
But we started making templates that you could do that, and some of my favorites were the control cavity covers and or recesses and control cavities.
Yeah.
Those are cool. And
I like the outline and neck
outline
pocket.
and neck pocket is probably my favorite. Which is I think the one that we saw in that video. I went,
yeah.
Man.
Well, that's how they do it.
Yeah, that's cool. So
I've done a lot of experimenting with the pin router and different size pins with different size cutters. So 1/2-inch cutter with 1/4-inch pin, 1/8-inch pin, and finding that like, oh yeah, if you use a 1/2-inch cutter and an 1/8-inch pin, and trim the back of the fretboard off to the very just where it's just the bottom of the fretboard. That's the perfect amount for a piece of binding on the rear of the neck. So yeah, little stuff like that seems to be pretty cool.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. His next question is, how has YouTube supported or hindered your main business? Any unexpected ways?
Well, without YouTube, there's no shop. When we first started doing this, we really did rely on word of mouth from YouTube because it's our only advertising vehicle. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's guitar magazines. But when's the last time you bought a guitar magazine, Chris?
A long time ago.
Yeah. When's the last time you guys bought a guitar magazine? Let me know. We could put ads in a guitar magazine, but I hesitate to say that you guys would even get them or even see them. YouTube is something it's right now. You don't go to my website unless I make a video and go, hey, well, there's this new stuff on the website. And then you guys go there. Some people do, but it's a way to keep in communication with all of you who make Texas Toast guitars a thing. And there's a real soul to that. The ability to connect with people immediately. Look, we're doing it right now. There's 50 people watching right now. They had less than 10 minutes notice that we were going to be doing this, and they're tuning in and they're part of it. You guys are all part of this. And if that's not a living, breathing, soul-filled entity, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So
any ways that it's hindered?
Every so often, we're not on the YouTube algorithm. We again, because we're not YouTube content creators, we're guitar builders who are doing YouTube videos. We don't have the kind of reach that, some other guys do. We also, this works in a couple different ways. If we were a great big guitar builder outfit that had time to do nothing but make videos, and you guys probably can think of some guys who are that, well, then you could make all kinds of videos and you could reach lots and lots of people. Then there are those who I'm not really a guitar maker, but I'm going to make YouTube videos about guitars. And so I'm going to kind of do stuff that appeals to everybody. Like, for example, make a cigar box. Well, I don't have time to make a cigar box because I have to, make everybody else's guitar. As much as I would like to, I just don't have the time. So it kind of became like, well, I'm just going to show you what we do. And it's going to be ads for us. So we don't, unless you're really good at marketing the YouTube videos, you just don't get the same level of viewership that everybody, that some YouTube content creators get that just so happen to be making guitars. So remember, we're guitar builders making videos, not video makers making guitars. And that's a very important distinction, I think. And yeah, we're trying all sorts of new ways to extend our reach, including a video a day in October. It's not easy.
Well, this flows into the next question very
Okay.
well. First of all, any unexpected ways? I think the only thing that you don't like about YouTube that I think most people don't necessarily like, is it has a comment section.
Oh, sometimes I do.
95% of the time, the comments are great,
yeah,
and fun and entertaining and gracious and all of that. But those aren't the ones you remember. You remember the ones where somebody calls you a jerk.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of YouTube comments this morning that were like, very, very kind. And then I get one from some dope. And I remember this some dope guy. And I'm like, okay. I wish it wasn't like that. But
yeah, in some ways it's yeah. And then his last question, or his last, it's a question. When growing a YouTube channel, what works? Examples, cross promotions like you do with Dylan or Maximum Guitar Works, product giveaways, discounts with business partners. Any surprises that worked or didn't for you?
Again, you're asking the wrong guy, because we don't have a gigantic channel.
No, we don't. But things that work, I think consistency works.
Yeah.
Making a video, once a week. I think that was what you first wanted to do. I'm going to make a video once a week.
That was hard.
Here's the first one. Do it in the no. Okay. Go look it up.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to do this. I think I want to do that. Let's do a live thing. As soon as we figured out that we could do a live thing and that people kind of liked them, that became a thing. But it's real easy to just make everything a live video because they're off the cuff and they're fairly straightforward. There's no editing once it's done.
Typically, very few people watch the live things.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, and that's part of the problem though, is that you're not really reaching your full potential with live videos.
I can tell you one thing that seems to work. Videos with the title that "You're Stupid."
Yeah.
That for some reason or another,
mean-spirited titles work really well, even if the video's not mean at all.
No, the video on that was not mean at all. In fact, in the description it says, "We are testing this title to see if anyone notices the video, or if they just
when I first saw it, because it's
your picture,
hold my paint gun, and if you don't paint your guitar like this, you're stupid." And there's Chris, and I called Matt, and
you're like, "Take it down, dude. I can't.
I don't I don't like that. I don't." And he's like, "Well, we can change it." And then I went back and looked, and then I read the thing about, we're trying this out to see, and then I understood it. But I'll bet you a lot of people don't read that part, because even I didn't read it at first.
That is still our best video today. And it's either
nothing to do with me, I can tell you that.
You're like, okay, so we're gonna paint a guitar, and it's really fun. The other videos are like, build a guitar out of scrap wood was really popular. Build a guitar out of 2x4s, not too bad, but scrap wood guitar
was really good.
Stuff you can get at Home Depot.
That's when we were being stalked by the Illuminati too.
That's
nice.
Right. I've gotten a bunch of weird comments. One like it used to be like a male exotic dancer in Germany used to send me comments all the time.
Oh yeah.
One guy who claimed to be someone who was a white supremacist who like claimed to set somebody on fire told me one time I set someone on fire once, and I'm like, that's not creepy.
Yeah.
All kinds of wacky stuff, and every so often, I don't get like, I'll kick your butt or anything like that, but sometimes you'll get some.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Yeah, some people who aren't very kind.
I think the cross promotion stuff that we do with Dylan, Steve from Maximum Guitar. One of the big cross promotions that we did was with. Oh man, my brain is not working.
Phil?
No, that was good too.
Dylan.
From Canada. I keep wanting to say Dan Andradas, but that's not it.
Oh, good old, what's his name?
Yeah. Painter Boy.
Yeah. We haven't heard from that guy. He just had a kid. Yeah. Brad Ango.
There we go. Good Lord.
One of the most fun ones. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really good cross promotion, because nobody realized that we were talking. That was all
there was
set up. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? In that same vein, I have to hand it to Ben Crow. every time we did a video and Ben was part of it, we did very well.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben and I are going to make any more videos
No, I
together,
don't
but
think so.
but the couple that we did were pretty well received.
Yeah.
By the way, the great guitar build off was my idea. I don't care. And you can tell Ben that I said that.
It was.
Ben might have been coming up with it, but it was my idea. I can point out, I can show you the video where,
There's a
and Ben
video.
called me the next day and said, I want to do this.
Mhm.
So, anyway, Dylan has always been good to do stuff
Yeah,
with.
Dylan's always a good guy
Phil.
to do cross promotion with.
Phil
Yeah,
McKnight,
that
always
stuff
been good.
works out well. I think just reaching out to the general guitar community
Yep.
always works out well. Hopefully they get some new subscribers, we get some new subscribers. Any things that didn't work that we tried? I don't know. I can't think of anything right offhand that we were like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So no, I think just consistency and it's hard making videos.
Andy Mandiak says, I made Ben admit that in one of his now I would pay to see that.
To see video of that.
I would love to see
I
that.
don't know why, I mean,
I don't care.
No, and really, I mean, so it was our idea.
I think Ben did a good job.
We couldn't have pulled it off.
No, Ben did a great job doing it, and
it was so that worked out well.
Tonehouse Guitar says those stripes look cool. Thank you, amigo. They are cool.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know. So let's end it on this note. Someone asks, Andy again says, the one weird trick that Gibson doesn't want you to know.
Apparently their head luthier still uses feeler gauges. I think that's what they don't want you to know.
Somebody sent me that one. They're like, the master luthier at Gibson still uses feeler gauges to set up the guitars. And I'm thinking to myself, well, aren't Gibson guitars kind of world renowned for being not set up very well at the factory?
Yeah.
But instead I said, he does? What's his name? Maybe he doesn't. I'll send him one of these. Maybe he doesn't know how cool of a thing it is.
Have one, yeah.
I think the one cool trick that Gibson doesn't want you to know.
They have lots of cool tricks.
But I don't think that anything's particularly secret. I think the one cool trick that Gibson has is they have a special shaper blade that cuts their headstock.
That was a little bit of a mind blower when I saw that. I was like, oh shit. And then I thought, why wouldn't they? It's like cutting a piece of molding for your floorboard, it really is.
So the necks go in at it horizontally and they shove it through this shaper. They have a jig that's made and they have one shaper that it stays like this. It's never going to change.
And I think they have, I don't know how many necks on that thing, 10 or 12 at a time.
Oh, probably. Yeah. They just kind of buzz them through.
There's something else that I think that same jig does while it's there. Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty neat. And you're like,
yeah,
shit.
But the Gibson mustache is not easy to do with a file and sandpaper. Remember in the video yesterday, I'm like, use the tools that you have to help dictate what your headstock outline is going to look like.
Yeah.
It's much easier to go with the flow of the tool than it is to fight it and try to put little in things that are really tough to sand. The way that Gibson does it, and this is not a secret, they have lots of videos showing you this. They have a shaper cutter that has the outline, the negative of their headstock, and they just shove the headstock through there, and it does it perfect every time.
And they load them up, and it's fairly convoluted clamping system on that one, if I recall, but you put it in and it does it, and it's like, wow, that's pretty neat. The other cool tools that I like are like gang saws and fret saws.
Gang drills where they drill
all of it at once. They put it in and go wonk, and everything's drilled.
All your headstock holes are perfectly done. Yeah.
Yep. And they do the all the fret slots at the same time. Stuff like that is really, really cool.
I think the one thing that Gibson probably doesn't want you guys to remember is that every year, and I don't know, but every year, the 1959 Les Paul reissue is even more 1959 than last year's 1959.
Frankly, I don't know what we were thinking last year. because that was 1960. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
So
lot of not 59 on that.
so
This
like
year,
yeah, like these little things like now with hide glue, now with the right kind of paint, whatever. It's
nickel on the hardware.
it's the most 59 since 59 you can get. Last year's 59 wasn't 59 enough. And so I don't know that but every time they do something like that,
yeah.
now hide glue, now with this kind of ink for the what's that, the thing with they silk screen, the Les Paul deal. Now it's even the right gold that it was back then, or whatever it was. Yeah.
The guy that does that job's probably going to get cancer, just like the old guy.
Just like the old guy did. So you can have the most 59 guitar possible.
Yeah. Now with more lead in the white.
Yeah, I think that's what if you were to push me on that. I tell you guys what though, I love Gibson guitars, and if I was head of Gibson, which none of you have to worry about that, if I was head of Gibson guitars, there would be big changes. None of you would like them. None of you would like them. So I even made a video about it. And if you look that video up, I stand by what I said in that video, even though that video is 10 years old now, I think.
That was when they were going through all their stuff, right? Yeah. And things were looking bad. I think they've done a pretty good job of turning it around by all accounts. So good for them.
Yep. All right, gang. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you tomorrow for some kind of video, and maybe we'll answer some more of your questions. Maybe it'll be me turning expensive lumber into kindling. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great night, everyone. I gotta push the right button.